So, good evening. So, if you guys on the back can come forward. Okay. So, thanks Aramal for your wonderful session. So, thanks for making it much interactive. So, now you have seen some basic syntax and basics about Swift. So, let's go for a live demo. So, this demo is just intended for beginners to try out Swift. I'm not going to do anything in detail, but it's just to encourage beginners to try out Swift. Okay. So what I'm planning to do today is to create a to-do app. So users will be able to create a task. It's a tabbed application. So we'll be having two tabs. One is to add a task and one is the listing tasks. Okay. So let's get started. So first thing is to create a Swift application. So how many Objective-C developers are remaining? Can you just please? Okay. So for the rest, this is how we create a new project in Xcode. So just click Xcode and create a new Xcode project. Okay. So we have some templates here. We need a tabbed application. So I'm selecting tabbed application and I need to put in a name. Give me a second. Hello, is it audible? Hello, is it audible? Okay, so I'm just going to type a name. It will be Swift demo. And the difference between a Swift project and an Objective-C project, you just need to set the language settings here. See, so I'm creating a Swift project. So for those who are not familiar with Xcode, this is how an Xcode project looks like. So this is called the project navigator, and we can see the files listed here. This file is the app delegate. App delegate is the entry point for the app. That means this class will be called first when an app launches. Okay, and this function application did finish launch is the first function called. So these are the files which control views called view controllers, and this is the storyboard. This is where we handle the UI. So for Objective-C developers, you can notice that the .h and .m files are missing and they are replaced with the Swift files. Okay. So for our current demo, I need a task manager class. So I'm going to create a new Swift file. So creating a Swift file for iOS, and I'm naming it as task manager. Yeah. So I've just created a class called task manager. So I'm going to create another data model class called a task. So this is our task data model class. So task will be having a name and a description. So I'm going to create new properties, two properties, one for the name and one for description. So I'll put it as task name, and I'm initializing it with empty string. So as Aramal said, to create a property, this is a variable property of name, task name, and of type string. Okay. But since I am initializing it with an empty string, I don't need to specify a type explicitly. It will be inferred automatically by the compiler. Okay. So I'm going to create another property called task description. So we need an init method. So init method is going to have two parameters, a name of type string and what, a description of type again string, and the init method is going to set these values to the properties. So this completes our task data model class. So it has two properties and an initializer method. So we can come back to task manager. So task manager is going to handle a set of tasks. Okay. So I'm creating an array called tasks. Here I need to set the type because I'm not initializing it with anything. So I'm going to create an array of tasks. Okay. And I'm initializing it with an empty array. So now I'm creating a new function with the keyword func func, and it will be add task. It will take two parameters, same string. So what this function does is that so it will create a new task and add it to the list of tasks. So I'm just doing tasks dot append. Task dot append. So this is the initializer method we wrote earlier. Okay. So I'm going to pass the name and the description. Okay. so yeah, that's much about task manager. So for our demo, so think about it like this: a task manager is going to handle all the tasks. So we just need one task manager. We doesn't need to create more task managers. So I'm going to write a singleton pattern. So anyone who doesn't know what a singleton pattern is? So you all are familiar with singleton patterns? Okay, yes. Okay, so writing a singleton in Swift is as easy as creating a global variable, global constant. Yeah, I'm creating a private let. So this line does what this line does is that it creates a global constant object called task manager. Okay, so I'm gonna write a class variable called shared manager of type okay. So any questions? Any questions? Nothing? Okay. So we can move forward for the UIs. So for the UI, this is all about the model. Just need a task and a task manager. So for the UI, so for a tabbed application, Xcode has already created a tab bar controller and two view controllers for me as the template. So what I need is the list view controller, a table view controller, and a view controller for creating a task. So I'm gonna delete the first thing and adding a new view controller. So this is how we create views. This little box here is called the object library, and it will list all the objects we can use inside the storyboard. So this is just for guys who are not familiar with Xcode. Okay. So I'm setting it as the view controller, and this will be the second view controller. I'm just embedding these two views in a navigation controller so that I can get a navigation bar. It's just for the UI thing. Okay. So now I'm just deleting Xcode generated classes. So we need two classes, one to handle the list and one to create the new task. Okay. So I'm gonna create two new files. This time I'm not creating a Swift file, I'm creating a Cocotouch file. Okay. So first one is a list view controller or a table view controller. So I'm inheriting the UI table view controller class here. And I'm creating task list view controller. And the second one is a UI view controller. This one is for adding task. So the advantage of inheriting a UI table view controller is that a table view will have a set of data source and delegate methods. Okay, so those who are familiar with Object-C might know. So these are the data source and delegate methods. Okay, so I can just use them directly. So for this demo, I don't need this much methods. I just need this method. This method is for configuring a cell. Table view cell for row at index path. And so we have created two new view controllers. So I'm gonna relate it to the views. So the first table view controller, I'm setting the class as task list view controller, and the second one I'm set as add task controller. So we can create the add task view controller now. Okay, so this is the add task. So we need two text fields to input values. So I'm gonna drag a text field here. So this one will be the task name, and I need another one. This is for task description. And I'm adding a button to create the task. So we have created the UI. Now we need to connect it to the classes. Okay. So connecting is again easy. So the first text field is the task name, right? So I can just write text field name. And the second one is the description. Oh. So I'm connecting the button. So you can see that we have something here. This is an outlet. So this is just a reference, and this is the action. So what action means that uh, it will inform the controller that some action is going on. That like we are touching a button. So touch up inside, and okay. So done. Okay. So let's move on to the list view controller. So this one is the task, and for the cell, I'm using a subtitle cell so that I have a task and a description. Okay. Uh, just increasing the size. So for a cell, what a table view does that is that it reuses the cells. So we need a reuse identifier. So we set the reuse identifier for the cell as k task cell. So that's it. So so the first function in that task list view controller is that number of rows in section. Number of rows in section means the number of rows needed for a section. It will be equal to the number of tasks, right? Yeah. So we need to get the tasks. So we call the task manager. And we have created a Singleton instance. I'm calling it shared manager. And oh, task. And we are giving it the count. Okay. And for each cell, I'm going to set the correct reuse identifier. The reuse identifier I used was k task cell. And I'm going to get the task. So a task will be task manager dot shared manager dot tasks object rate index path dot draw. So this line, okay, this line gets the tasks for each cell, and from each task I'm setting the cell dot text label dot text. So we have configured a cell and we have configured the entire list. So that's it. So now in the add task we can add task controller. So I have a function which will be executed when a user touches the button. So I need to create a task here. So to create a task, how will you create a task? We have already written the method here in the task manager to create a task. So we use that. So to use that, task manager dot shared manager dot add task. So from where will we get the name and the description? They are right here in the text fields. So we get it from the text fields.